The second season of the South Korean series, Squid Game, which became a global phenomenon, achieved overwhelming success. Recently, viewers were presented with a continuation, the third part, or rather the second half of the second season, in which the story of Deadly Children's Game came to its conclusion. Initially, director Hwang Dong-hyuk did not intend to go beyond one season. However, under pressure from the phenomenal audience interest, he decided to continue the story and met the expectations of the fans. It was already clear in the first season that Gi-hoon would return one day, but few could predict that it would all end in a full-scale conflict between human dignity and greed bred by capitalist society. The final 6 episodes raised the tension to the limit, pushing realism into grotesque to shock the viewer with the scale of moral decay. Almost all characters from the second season die, which is quite natural for the Squid Game universe, where happy endings are a rarity. By the finale, the series still answers most of the questions raised at the beginning, and does so in the context of a deadly race. Essentially, we are once again shown children's games at unthinkable speed. Naturally, the finale doesn't come without a dizzying plot twist. The final season with a cameo clearly hints at a possible spin-off, and one of Netflix's loudest projects seems far from finished. Well then, without wasting time, let's discuss how it all ended. In the third season, Gi-hoon no longer seeks to win the game or destroy its organizers. In the second season, he gives all his strength to get to those behind the brutal entertainment for the rich, but cannot do it. The frontman always outsmarts him. The frontman enters the game himself, radically changing the course of events. Without him, Gi-hoon might have had a chance at victory. While participating in the game, the frontman constantly manipulates Gi-hoon. The rebellion quickly dies out, and the hero can only watch as the people he tried to protect perish. The frontman kills Chonbae before Gi-hoon's eyes, breaking the hero completely. Gi-hoon suffers not physically but emotionally. He is left to live with a heavy guilt for failing to save those who believed in him and supported the rebellion. By the end of the second season, it becomes clear that Dae-ho betrayed Gi-hoon. He went to get rifle magazines and never came back. Outwardly, Gi-hoon blames him for the failure, but deep down he understands that things are not so simple. Dae-ho is not interested in victory or money. He is simply scared to death. He sees people dying and begins to change, and when the time comes to act, he is paralyzed by fear. Dae-ho's betrayal changes Gi-hoon as well. He is justifiably angry at his former ally, but also feels guilty. He realizes he could have done more for Dae-ho, made different, more far-sighted decisions. Guilt grips both their hearts. There is rage in Gi-hoon's eyes, but despite his complete disappointment, he still tries to preserve the remnants of his humanity. This is perhaps one of the saddest scenes of the season. But let's return to the events. The fourth game is called Keys and Knives, and as one might guess, it is extremely brutal. Players draw balls from a machine and are divided into teams, blue and red. The blues receive keys, the reds, knives. The rules of the game are simple and horrific. The blues must unlock doors and escape from the arena, hiding from the reds before time runs out. By the way, did you recognize it? It's the same arena as in the marbles game. In general, each red needs to find and kill at least one blue. If they fail to do so, the guards shoot the red. Suddenly, the game turns out to be more complicated than it first appears. Players realize that there are 3 types of keys: circle, triangle, and square. Each blue receives only one key, and to open the final door, all 3 different keys are needed. Participants realize this too late, only at the last door, and the game turns into a massacre. Blood flows, screams are heard everywhere. Probably this is what playing hide-and-seek in hell looks like. Some players act cold-bloodedly and try to outsmart the others. Others panic and give up. In the second season, the central figure of the games was Gi-hoon. In the third, the most important character becomes a newborn baby. Chun-hee, being pregnant, entered the game in the previous season, and we all wanted to know what would happen if the baby decided to be born at the wrong moment. In Keys and Knives, Hyunju tries with all her might to protect Gumja and Chun-hee from the Reds, but the latter falls from the stairs and breaks her leg. The games temporarily become less deadly. Chun-hee's water breaks and she cannot move to the next door. Fortunately, Gumja is nearby and can help. Despite the doubts of many viewers, Gumja delivers the baby, and a healthy girl is born. None of the Reds hear Chun-hee's screams, and there is no placenta either, a true medical miracle. Hyunju knows where the exit is. She can leave Gumja and Chun-hee and save herself. But she returns, and it costs her life. Lee Ming-yi attacks Hyunju from behind and stabs her 3 times. Ming-yi doesn't know that Hyunju just saved the woman he once loved. Greed drives him, and he joins Namgyu, and together they turn the game into a bloody massacre. Realizing Hyunju is dead, Gumja picks up the baby and helps Chun-hee reach the exit. At that very moment, her son, Yeon-sik, approaches the door, and he also needs to kill someone to survive. He prepares to attack the helpless Chun-hee, and Gumja does the unthinkable. She kills her own son to save Chun-hee. Gumja is completely devastated, but still proves that one can remain human in the game. She is definitely kinder, braver, and stronger than many other participants. Meanwhile, Gi-hoon finds Daeho and strangles him, and this is the man who once firmly refused to kill anyone. For the first time in the entire season, we see the hope in his eyes fade. Afterwards, Gi-hoon tries to commit suicide, but is stopped by the guards. Next to meet their fate is the mad shaman Songne. Chondae, one of the greediest and most ruthless participants, betrays her right at the last door, and then Min-soo, who had not killed anyone before, finally uses his knife. What will bring hope back to Gi-hoon? Keep your tissues close. From this point on, every death in the show hits you right in the heart. Gumja doesn't know if she did the right thing. She killed Yeon-sik with her own hands and doesn't understand how to go on living. She begs everyone to vote for ending the games for the sake of the newborn, but no one listens. Later, she blames herself for raising such a son. She admits that kind people are often seen as weak. Yeon-sik never did anything bad to anyone in his life, and people just used him. When Yeon-sik got into debt, his mother called him pathetic, and he almost took his own life. Gumja believes she forced her son to participate in the games. At night, she calls Gi-hoon to talk and asks him to do everything he can to ensure Chun-hee and her daughter survive. At first, Gi-hoon doesn't understand what this is about, but it's clear Gumja wants to be free of her guilt. In the morning, the players find her hanging from her bunk. They are in shock, but they must pull themselves together and prepare for the next game. The next game is called Jump Rope. Naturally, the rules are deadly. Players must cross a narrow bridge while jumping over a bar that swings at a furious speed. The bridge is high above the ground, and falling from it means a terrible death. Chun-hee, with a broken leg and a baby in her arms, obviously can't handle this challenge. Lee Ming-yi is in no rush to help and watches from a distance. But Gi-hoon finally snaps out of his numbness and offers assistance. At first, Chun-hee refuses, but the VIPs decide that the baby must also participate in the game. Gi-hoon takes the baby and promises to come back for Chun-hee to carry her across too. He crosses the bridge safely but doesn't make it back in time. Ming-yi finally decides to help, but Chun-hee shows him her injured ankle. Ming-yi leaves her behind and crosses the bridge alone. Gi-hoon tries to reach Chun-hee, but she realizes she has no chance of passing this trial, so she jumps off the bridge herself. Isn't it remarkable? A man with no ties to Chun-hee was ready to risk his life for her, while the child's father left her to die. Will Gi-hoon manage to save Chun-hee's daughter? The last game of the season is called Heavenly Squid Game. The so-called VIPs who watch the games and delight in human suffering worry that the players will vote to end the games. But In-ho, aka the frontman, knows how to solve the problem. He informs the players that to win, each of them must eliminate at least 3 other competitors, but more is allowed. This rule gives players the ability to plan and get rid of the weakest. At the vote, the players decide the game should continue. At the end of episode 4, In-ho calls Gi-hoon to him and reveals his true identity. While Gi-hoon processes the information, the frontman hands him a knife and offers him a deal. If Gi-hoon kills all the other competitors, the frontman will let him take the prize money and Chun-hee's daughter and leave the game. From a flashback, we learn that the man in the owl mask, Il-nam, who used to be the frontman, once gave In-ho the same offer. In-ho seized the opportunity and killed all the remaining participants. However, Gi-hoon once again proves that there is still some humanity left in him. He refuses and heads to the final game. Heavenly Squid Game takes place on 3 tall platforms connected by narrow bridges. To move across the bridge to the next platform, a player must press a button and drop another player down. Naturally, many participants see Gi-hoon with the baby in his arms as an easy target. but none of them know that the girl's biological father is Min-gi. Gi-hoon manages to turn the players against each other, and Min-gi helps him by convincing the others that Min-soo should go first. Once on the second platform, Gi-hoon realizes he can't trust the baby on Min-gi. In a fierce fight, the participants kill or push each other off the platform, and Min-gi's plan becomes clear. He wants to kill Gi-hoon and the baby to win. If it benefited him, Min-gi would save his daughter, but he would never risk his life for her. Gi-hoon and Min-gi fight on the last platform, both on the brink of death. Gi-hoon manages to climb back up, while Min-gi falls and is killed. Unfortunately, Gi-hoon never pressed the button, so Min-gi's death doesn't count. The VIPs are convinced. Since there are no witnesses left, Gi-hoon will simply kill the girl and take the money. But they judge people superficially and don't understand what conscience is. The VIPs value money above all. To the viewer's horror, Gi-hoon throws himself off the platform of his own will. Before falling, he says, "We are not horses," meaning that the participants of the games are not obliged to entertain those who watch them through their suffering. The game ends. By an incredible twist of fate, the winner turns out to be the newborn girl, who, after her mother's death, became a full-fledged participant in the games and was given the number 222. Will the detective be able to track down his brother? Starting from the first episode of the third season, Hwang Jun-ho tries to find the island where the Squid Game takes place. He has no idea that Captain Park is spying on him for In-ho. After the drone operator very conveniently falls overboard, Choi sees the captain on the deck with a screwdriver in hand and suspects he's up to something. Choi conducts a small investigation but tells no one about it except Jun-ho. He discovers the captain's house and finds inside a pink guard uniform, cash, and a photo of Park with the recruiter. This confirms the captain's direct connection to the game organizers. Local police arrest Choi, but he manages to pass the information to the detective. The captain finds out everything and opens fire to the police boat. Jun-ho catches up with the captain and kills him, then finds a wounded player 246 who is trying to fight off guards in pink uniforms. Earlier, player 246 had escaped the game site with the help of guard Kang No-ul. The guard exposed the organ trafficking scheme run by the game organizers and sympathized with player 246 because he had a young daughter with cancer. No-ul couldn't reunite with her own daughter but managed to help someone in a similar situation. Receiving the information from player 246, Jun-ho finds the island, makes it to the arena of the Heavenly Squid Game, and sees In-ho on the final platform holding a child. Later, In-ho leaves the child and a gold card, with the full prize money in the detective's care. I don't know what Jun-ho will do with the money, but I want to believe he'll give the girl a decent life. The last 30 minutes of the season present the viewer with several unresolved questions. No-ul is about to take her own life, but changes her mind after seeing Gi-hoon's selfless love. At the end of the season, she receives a call from a broker who presumably works in a government organization that rescues people from North Korea. He's the one who helped to reunite Se-byuk's brother and mother. The broker says that No-ul's daughter is still alive and is in China. No-ul buys a ticket to China and prepares to make one last attempt to find her daughter. In-ho gathers Gi-hoon's belongings and savings and flies to Los Angeles to give them to his daughter, Song Ga-yeon. He tells her that Gi-hoon is dead, but he wanted her to have something to remember him by. On the way back, the car stops at a traffic light, and In-ho sees a woman in a suit playing tagji with a homeless man. Cate Blanchett's cameo clearly hints recruiters operate in different parts of the world, and although the story in South Korea has ended, Squid Game is far from over. Let's talk more about that now. The new recruiter and international games. The creators of Squid Game have always known how to surprise the audience and stay true to themselves until the very end, delivering a bitter and bloody finale. In the final season of Netflix's famous thriller, Gi-hoon and other players continue to fight for their lives in even more brutal and horrific trials. The series doesn't end on a happy note, but when it comes to teasing an expanded franchise, it absolutely delivers. For me, the most shocking moment of the third season of Squid Game wasn't the new deadly games or even Gi-hoon's heartbreaking death. It was the final minutes of episode 6, when Cate Blanchett suddenly appears on screen. Yes, the Oscar-winning actress, star of Tar, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Almost all the actors in Squid Game are from South Korea. The series never relied on Hollywood celebrities, So Cate Blanchett's appearance makes a bold statement about the horrifying scale of the survival children's games and the immense power of their organizers. Let's find out what consequences this unexpected plot twist might have for the whole Squid Game story. So, Cate Blanchett's character is definitely a new recruiter. In the final episode of the third season, titled We Are Human, the setting shifts to a grim alleyway in Los Angeles, where a mysterious woman in a tailored suit offers a homeless man to play takji, the same game that started it all in Seoul. Her hair is tied in a tight ponytail. She smirks ominously and slaps her opponent hard until he gives up. In the final moment, she locks eyes with In-ho, the frontman, who happens to be in California, there to deliver Gi-hoon's last belongings to his daughter. Among other things, the daughter receives the iconic green tracksuit with the number 456 and the golden card, presumably with the remaining prize money. When In-ho's car stops at a red light, the recruiter turns and eerily smiles at him, as if she wants to say something, then continues the game. The car drives off, the screen fades to black, and the episode ends. The role of the recruiter is played by two-time Oscar winner Cate Blanchett. Apparently, she is the face of the American version of the Squid Game. Seeing the recruiter playing takji in an alley doesn't surprise In-ho at all. As the frontman, he surely knows the games are held in other countries too. The recruiter also recognizes In-ho and nods to him. Clearly, she has been part of the organization for a long time. The epilogue events take place 6 months after Gi-hoon's death and the island explosion, so the alleyway scene is not just a spin-off tease, it is a direct confirmation. Maybe the games are not being held in South Korea for now, but in other countries, at least in the US, the show goes on. And that makes sense, as many of the VIPs shown in the first and second seasons were Americans. The influence of the organization founded by Il-nam and his wealthy friends extends far beyond Korea, so similar games are most likely happening in multiple countries at the same time. How did Cate Blanchett end up in the eerie world of Squid Game? In one of the interviews for the third season, series creator Hwang Dong-hyuk excitedly announced that he had managed to bring a renowned actress on board. He felt that a female recruiter would be far more dramatic and interesting, and that Blanchett's charisma was exactly what such a powerful role required. I completely agree with him. It's hard to imagine anyone in the world not liking Cate Blanchett. This role definitely needed an actress capable of capturing the audience's attention with just a few words and one glance, and Cate nailed it. As for the future of the franchise, Hwang made no definitive statements. He didn't say much, but suggested that sequels were highly likely. No matter how hot the topic was, no one knew about Blanchett's cameo before the episode aired. The creators of the series worked tirelessly to keep everything top secret. Even Lee Byung-hun, the actor who plays the frontman, had no idea that he had appeared in a scene with the famous Hollywood actress. They were brought to set separately, and he never got to meet her. Well, be that as it may. So, we've now seen the recruiter and can confidently say she's selecting participants for a new game in the US. The obvious question arises, how will this be realized? And how significant will Cate Blanchett's role be? I can't wait to see where the franchise goes next. Hwang Dong-hyuk has not yet confirmed the rumors about an American spin-off, but he hasn't denied them either. On the contrary, he even mentioned that David Fincher might direct it. He said he'd read such news himself, but had received no official confirmation from Netflix and doesn't know anything concrete. Though he has great respect for Fincher and would be glad if he took on the project. Blanchett's cameo confirms that Netflix intends to push its most high-profile show even further. Perhaps Blanchett will return as the recruiter in the American spin-off. If that's the case, the project promises to be very compelling. Some viewers question whether Squid Game even needs a continuation. But even they might agree. A potential collaboration between Fincher and Blanchett sounds promising. Besides, it would allow the American spin-off to carry on the original's tradition of casting famous actors in cameo roles. Gong Yoo, who played the recruiter in the Korean Squid Game, is considered one of South Korea's most popular actors. He had minimal screen time, but everyone remembers him. Let's see how much time Cate Blanchett gets, and whether she gets any more at all. So the future of Squid Game looks bright. The Korean series ended with the third season, thanks to the director who clearly knows how to stop at the right moment. But side projects await the audience, particularly the second season of the reality show The Challenge, and an English-language version of Squid Game from Fincher, at least according to rumors. Blanchett has already worked with Fincher on The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's reasonable to assume they'll collaborate again. And since Blanchett appeared in the Korean version of Squid Game, one would expect the American version to be not a remake, but a direct continuation of the beloved story. The recruiter is selecting players for a game in Los Angeles. What kind of game will it be? Perhaps the international games have been going on for a while already. Or maybe they were on hold because they were discovered, like in Korea. What children's games will the participants be offered? Traditional Korean ones, like Takji, or perhaps typical American ones like flag football? In any case, just know if Cate Blanchett in a dashing suit ever approaches you on the street and offers you to play something, do not agree under any circumstances. Will there be a fourth season of Squid Game? In the usual sense, no. According to the series' creator, he said everything he wanted in the third season and doesn't plan to shoot a continuation. However, as I already mentioned, the final seat with Cate Blanchett loudly hints at further franchise development. Although it's still unclear in what form, most likely a spin-off, some storylines can be interpreted in various ways, opening up opportunities to bring back old faces in new roles. Personally, I'd be thrilled. By the way, here's another fact to fire up your imagination. Actor Lee Byung-hun mentioned on a TV show that Hwang Dong-hyuk once discussed a frontman spin-off with him, albeit jokingly rather than seriously, but who knows? And in October of last year, rumors emerged that Fincher was interested in the Squid Game universe and wouldn't mind working on it as his next project. The director has already successfully collaborated with Netflix, House of Cards, Mindhunter, Mank, The Killer. And the studio is not known for letting go of successful partners. So an American version of Squid Game directed by David Fincher doesn't seem so far-fetched. According to Hwang Dong-hyuk, negotiations are already underway. But I wouldn't expect to see anything anytime soon, especially since Netflix has yet to confirm anything. Talks about Squid Game in the US began with a post on social media platform X, where an insider spoke about the adaptation. The author claimed that Cate Blanchett had already secured the role in the American spin-off, described in detail how this spin-off is teased in the third season of the original, and reported that the plot twist with the new recruiter was invented by David Fincher himself. And yet, to this day, Netflix remains silent about possible spin-offs, their storylines and cast, let alone any specific release dates. So all we can do is speculate. Would you like to see old characters in the American version of the games? What do you think could happen to them? Share your theories in the comments. That's all from me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon. Your engagement is the best reward for me. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.